Hello, kiddo. So this is part 2 of April 13th's Fluency Practice for 4th graders, 5th graders, 6th graders. In this part, we will be reading our fluency passages together. All right, so I'm hoping 4th, 5th, and 6th grades, I'd like for you to go ahead and read all 3 passages along with me. It will be a good practice for you. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, 4th graders, this next part is your fluency passage. 5th graders and 6th graders, I invite you to go ahead and read along with us. It wouldn't hurt you to go ahead and read along. Same with you 4th graders. When it's 5th grades and 6th grades passage, go ahead and see if you could read a 5th grade or a 6th grade passage. And 5th grade, go ahead and try to see if you can read the 4th and 6th grade passages. And 6th graders, go ahead and see if you can read 4th and 5th grade passages. Now, take a look at 4th grade passage. I underlined words that we actually blended earlier, so you should be familiar with them. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. A tour of Jewel Cave. Ready to explore? Asked Maria's father. Maria, her dad, and her 5-year-old brother Carlo had just arrived at Jewel Cave National Monument. This was the kind of outing Maria's father loved. You're going to see some amazing formations, he said enthusiastically. On the way to the cave, Maria's dad had explained how crystals could be seen hanging from the cave's ceilings. That's why they call it Jewel Cave, he explained. At the cave's entrance, they each got a lantern to light their way. Maria felt her heart pounding as an elevator took them down into the cave's depths. When the doors opened, she felt a blast of cold air. It's about 49 degrees in here year-round, said the tour guide. Maria was glad she was wearing suitable clothing. She had chosen rubber-soled boots, long pants, and a jacket. Leading the way, the guide advised everyone to be careful since parts of the winding path were slippery. Then the group walked down some steep wooden steps into a large room where the crystals made strange waxy formations. Maria loved the way the light sparkled off them. It was about that time that Carlo began to complain. I want to leave because I'm cold and Jewel Cave is boring, he whined. Suddenly, there was a rush of wind accompanied by a high-pitched noise. Some of the lanterns blew out as dark shapes flew toward the group. Carlo grabbed Maria's hand, closed his eyes, and ducked his head. Don't worry, laughed their dad. It's just the bats. They like it here too, said the tour guide. The bats passed overhead, flying into another room. Now are you bored? Asked Maria. Don't you dare tease me, said Carlo, pulling her forward to see what was up ahead. When they got back home, Carlo told everyone how much he enjoyed exploring the cave. He was already planning the things he would see and do the next time they went to visit Jewel Cave. 5th graders, this is your fluency practice. 4th graders, see if you can do it. As the school bus pulled the title is What Now? As the school bus pulled away from the school, Julia looked at her watch. Her class was headed to a park for the end-of-year picnic. The park was located about 30 miles outside of town, and the trip usually took about an hour. Even though she knew the bus trip would pass quickly, Julia was eager to get there. Her class had planned for relay races. Oh, I forgot this one. Relay races, swimming, and softball, and she couldn't wait for the fun to get started. Julia sat in the back of the bus with her 4 best friends. When the bus went past the last building in town, the girls decided to sing songs to help the time pass more quickly. By the time they had sung Row, Row, Row Your Boat on top of Old Smoky and Puff the Magic Dragon, everyone on the bus was singing in loud, laughing voices. When the class had been singing for about half an hour, the bus slowed down and pulled to a stop at the side of the road. The bus driver looked puzzled, turned the key, and listened as the engine made a whining sound, and then died with a cough. Then he got off the bus, looked under the hood, and scratched his head. When he explained that he'd have to call for another bus, all the students moaned in disappointment. About that time, a car appeared at the top of a hill. As it pulled to the side of the road and parked behind the bus, Julia recognized the driver as her grumpy neighbor, Mr. Lewis. "He's so grumpy, I doubt that he'd ever want to help a busload of children," Julia thought. Mr. Lewis got a box of tools from the trunk of his car and walked to the front of the bus. A few minutes later, the bus engine was humming and all the students were cheering for Mr. Lewis. "I guess I shouldn't have been so quick to judge my neighbor," Julia thought, getting out of her seat to thank him for his help. All right, let's go ahead and read our 6th grade fluency passage. Ready, 6th graders? 4th and 5th graders, see if you can read this one. Food for thought. Jay is growing up on a farm where almost nothing he eats comes in a wrapper. For example, for breakfast yesterday, he had 2 eggs gathered from the hen house and a peach he plucked from a backyard tree. For lunch, he ate a sandwich made with homemade bread, and for supper, he had squash and tomatoes picked from the garden and fish that his dad had caught. Jay is aware of other ways of eating, though. He is familiar with the endless rows of snack foods on the shelves of the supermarket in town and the boxy restaurants that sell hamburgers and fried chicken to go. He doesn't understand why these are called convenience foods, since you have to drive all the way to get them when you could just walk to the kitchen and slice a piece of homemade pie or pick a plum off a tree in the yard. Jay thinks they should be called inconvenient foods because it takes so much more work to get them. Last summer, he visited his cousin Ben for a week. "Are you hungry?" Ben asked on the day Jay arrived. Jay was indeed hungry after the long train trip, so Ben opened a huge bag of potato chips. In no time, Ben and Jay had eaten most of the chips. Jay was surprised at how many chips he ate, but he was even more surprised at how hungry he still felt. As the week went by, Jay ate many other kinds of snack foods and fast foods. He couldn't exactly say that he liked the salty and sugary foods, but he found himself eating a lot of them, even when he wasn't hungry. When Jay returned home and to his usual way of eating, he had a new appreciation for the fresh, homegrown foods his family ate. He saw that it meant something to be connected to the food he ate, especially when it came to him from human hands instead of out of a bag. All right, I suggest you guys go back and reread the passages. You can pause the video and read it by yourself, or you can keep it going and I will read it along with you again. All right, bye. Good luck. Hope to see you all soon.